Well, hey kids, this is Jeff, and I'm here with an application activity, really just a little bit of a conversation called You Can't Do It Alone. So this week in our Kids Church experience, we learned that to play on God's team, we should be humble. And, lots of us have great talents and abilities, things that God has given us, blessed us to be able to do. But God wants us all to be humble and to play as a part of a team, which means no one can or should do it all on their own. Now, I'm going to tell you some facts about some amazing athletes right now. I've got some sports cards to share with you and talk to you about some of these guys. And even these great athletes could not do it all on their own. And so this is the first one. This guy's name is Dan Marino. He was quarterback for the Miami Dolphins, played with Miami his entire career until he retired in the year 2000. He still holds 14 NFL records, and they're not just teensy ones either. He has the most passing attempts in his career. He has the most completions in his career. He has the most yards gained in his career. He has the most yards gained in a single season. Passed for 5,084 yards in one season. But there is one thing Dan Marino was never able to do. Dan Marino's resume is incomplete because Dan Marino never won the Super Bowl. Ever. It's pretty amazing. This guy right here, Kobe Bryant, passed away earlier this year with his daughter. They were in a helicopter crash. I think most of us have heard about this right now. Honestly, he is one of the best basketball players that I've ever had the privilege to watch. Probably the best basketball player of my lifetime, not named Michael Jordan. And he could do amazing things on the court. Let me tell you about his 2006-2007 season. In that season, Kobe scored 50 or more points 10 times. They played 82 games, and in 10 of those, he scored 50 or more. In 3 of them, the team still lost the game. In one game, he scored 50, team lost. He had another game of 53, the team still lost. He had a game of 58 points, and the team still lost. In fact, even though this guy, scored like crazy that season, which just went bananas, the team didn't make the playoffs that year. Amazing. This guy here, McGwire, one of the great power hitters of all time. In 1998, he broke the single-season home run record. He hit 70 homers that season, 70 bombs. And that record stood for 3 years until this guy, Barry Bonds. He actually had him up on the screen here a couple weeks ago in one of our lessons. He hit 73 bombs that season. These that record may never be broken because these guys might have been cheating a little bit and doing something called steroids. Don't do that at home. But you know what? These guys, in the years that they hit 73 home runs, you know what their teams did? They didn't make the playoffs. All of those homers from these guys weren't enough to have the team win. Final guy here, this guy right here, George Herman Ruth, went by the name Babe, which if I was named George Herman, I might be called Babe too. Babe Ruth, one of the great home run hitters of all times. In 1927, he hit 60 home runs. That is more than 7 entire teams in the American League combined hit. He hit 60. These 7 other teams, if you added up all their homers, didn't even equal 60. Just imagine that today. That's just crazy, right? But Babe Ruth knew that his individual talent did not make for a successful team. Get this quote from him. He said, "The way a team plays as a whole determines its success. You may have the greatest bunch of individuals in the world, but if they don't play together, the club won't be worth a dime." Wow. Babe Ruth, easily the best individual talent of his time period in the 20s, said, if all the guys can't figure out how to play together, my teams won't be worth anything. Playoff games and championships are not won by individual performances. The whole team has to do well in order to win. Think about it. Most years, the guy who scores the most points in the NBA doesn't win the championship. Most years, the guy who scores the most goals in the NHL, the guy who hits the most homers in baseball, they don't win the championship. When you're really good at something, and now it might be tempting to try to do it all and to hog all the glory for yourself. But we need to remember that God wants us to play on his team. And to do that, we need to follow Jesus' example and be humble. Because let's face it, on God's team, there's never going to be anyone who's more important than Jesus. It's not going to be us. There's no question that Jesus is the star player. And he could do things that no one else could do. But Jesus didn't act like the star. He was humble. He served others. A couple weeks ago, we heard how he washed his disciples' feet. This week, we heard how we kind of lectured James and John when they wanted to be more important than everyone else. He was humble. He served, and he taught his disciples to do the exact same thing. So remember, even if you can do something all by yourself, Jesus gave the ability to do it. It all comes from him. It's not because we're that special. You're always going to be a part of God's team. So don't take credit for yourself. Share credit with the team and use whatever he's given you to serve other people. I hope this helps you understand a little bit more about how important it is to be humble and to really think of yourself as a part of a team with other people. I'll be back later this week to share a little bit more. Bye, everybody.